What's up? This is Johnny Tacos, and welcome to the Johnny Tacos Show Origin Stories. Today we have Earthgroans from Solid State Records. You know Solid State Records, the record label that has awesome bands such as The Devil Wears Prada, Fit for a King, and Demon Hunter, just to say a few. You know what? I want to rock and roll with my good friend Jeremy, and we're going to have him on the show today. It's going to be an awesome show. It's going to be fulfilling, and drilling here on the season finale of the Johnny Taco Show Origin Story.
Hey, this is Monica from Theoterran.
This is Pathos from Symphony
Hi,
of
this
Heaven,
is
and you are
Randy Rose.
listening to the Johnny Taco
Hey, what's
Show.
up, everybody? This is Paul McCoy from the band 12 Stones, and you're listening to the Johnny Taco
This is
Show.
Sloths in a Bucket on Johnny Taco Show.
Hey, this is Sergio Pollock from A Vespertine Rising.
Hey guys, this is Jeremy Sims from With Blood Comes Cleansing. You're listening to the Johnny Taco Show.
This is Patrick from Ritual Servant, and you're listening to
Welcome to the Johnny Taco Show.
The Eagle has landed. Microphone.
Yeah, and you know, I couldn't imagine drummers like Neil Peart and his tremendous drum sets, man. That was right there had to be in the millions. And he had so many of them in a warehouse.
Yep.
So what made you want to be in metalcore? Were there any kind of bands that you kind of like idolized or kind of looked up to?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I knew that I wanted to do, like, I was raised on, my older brothers, they all listened to AC/DC, Metallica, even though we weren't supposed to. We had to hide our cassette tapes under our mattresses from my parents, because that was the devil's music. But I don't know how I got into heavy stuff so early. I just know that somebody told me about a band called Zao, and I went home and I Googled it on our dial-up Wi-Fi, whatever, or I guess it wasn't even called Wi-Fi then, it was just called internet, dial-up internet, but and loaded up Windows Media Player or whatever the heck we were using back then. I just remember it sounded terrible because the streaming quality was so low. But anyways, I started listening to this band called Zao, and at first I hated the screaming vocals, but I really liked the music, and the more that I listened to it, the more the screaming grew on me. And then before I knew it, I was like full blown metalhead, and that's all I listened to. So Zao was my first heavy band. I even started, like, when I started screaming, I started trying to replicate, like, or learning how to scream. I would just scream along to Zao. And, so I'd replicate that high fry scream. And so Zao's where it started. And then when I found out, I remember seeing Solid State Records, I just went down the whole list of Solid State bands. And so pretty much the whole Solid State roster became my favorite lineup of bands. And I would go to there was a music fest in Minnesota called Sunshine Festival, and they had a heavy metal stage, and all the bands that played on that stage were Face Down and Solid State bands. And so that just, like, pushed further, and drove the Solid State and Face Down bands further into, my liking, or whatever you want to call it. But that's kind of where it started, I guess, for me as far as metalcore. Yeah,
and you being in Solid State Records, you're able to play with awesome bands such as, Fit for a King and Devil Wears Prada, which is a tremendous, what is that word? A tremendous leap in your artistry. It shows that, hey, you're able to play with the boys. You're able to play with that level of music. So how does that make you feel? You're up there with a lot of the bands that you kind of looked up to as quote unquote mentors.
Yeah, it's like, we used to joke when Earthgroans started. We used to joke about, like, when we're on Solid State, like, we would say it like a joke because that was the dream label. But it didn't really ever seem attainable because there was not, like, that just seemed so far out of reach. So when we actually did sign to Solid State, it was definitely, dream come true for me. We're one of the smaller bands on the label, but it's a huge honor to be a part of, the label that all my favorite bands were on.
Well, don't call yourself small, because that music you play is not small at all. Like Overgrown, it's not small. It's out there, and it rivals a lot of the secular music too. So you really tuned in your screaming, and what I've learned is a lot of screaming doesn't really mean that you're actually up there screaming, because you'll burn out your throat like like so many people earlier and the pioneers of the screaming. But I've listened to a couple, and it's pretty much gain choices on your equipment. Is that true, or do you actually go up there and scream?
It's definitely, I mean, I would call it screaming. I guess there isn't, there is some studio work that's done, just like compression and stuff like that. But as far as like going up on stage, it's from your guts. It's pushing pretty hard. So I wouldn't say it's just equipment. It is definitely like, there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. I'll say that. You can blow your voice out screaming very easily, but also you can blow out your voice singing just as easily. It's a matter of technique, doing it the right way.
Yeah, because Chester, God rest his soul, he had blown out his voice too from earlier on Lincoln Park. So how do you, just for like tips for listeners who are interested in going into metalcore but they don't want to burn up their voice, burn up their vocals, how do you prepare?
It's there's a couple things that I do every day when I'm on tour, because literally, like, my voice is my instrument. So if I screw up my voice, I don't have an instrument. A guitarist can go up on stage and he could be sick, he could be whatever, sleep deprived, but if I go up on stage sick or sleep deprived, like, you're going to hear it. One of my main things on tour is I try and drink a gallon of water a day, so that I'm well hydrated. That's like rule number one. Cause if you're well hydrated, your voice has to be hydrated. Number two is I do warm-ups before I go on stage every day. And they're not warm-ups that you think they would be. They're very similar to like warm-ups that you would do for choir. It's like running scales up and down, stuff like that. I do the Melissa Cross Zen of Scream, and she has these warm-ups where it's literally just like weird sounds like ee, stuff like that. And it sounds stupid because like, oh, you're just going to go up there and scream your heart out. It's like, well, yeah, but you're still using the same vocal cords that you would use as if you were in choir. You just use them differently, if that makes sense. So I make sure I do a good warm up before I go up on stage, and, don't smoke. Smoke stop. It's absolutely like one of the worst things for your voice. And then besides that, it's just learning proper technique, and to learn proper technique, that's just one of those things where there are certain rules that you have to do, that you have to follow to keep from hurting yourself. If it hurts, obviously you might be doing something wrong. But I've been doing this since I think I started screaming when I was like 12 or 13. So I started really young, and I don't know the proper terminology or anything like that. I just kind of do what I do. So I'm not even sure how to explain the correct way to scream. There are different styles. There's like false chord and fry. So I'm definitely no instructor or teacher when it comes to doing that kind of thing. But I think the main thing to remember is just if it hurts, you're probably doing it wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Usually it's the opposite. Like when you're working out, you got to feel the burn. If you start feeling the burn while you're singing, maybe you need to lower it down just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I don't work out.
So how did Earthgroans come to be?
Well, I used to be in a different metalcore band years ago, and I was also the vocalist of that band. But we broke up, and just life kind of happened for everybody. And I thought when that band broke up that I was going to be done playing music, touring. But the funny thing about being a musician is once you have that in you, you can't get rid of it. That scratch is always there. That hunger, that seed, whatever you want to call it, it's always just kind of lives in you. And I went full time in my recording studio right after we had broken up, and I was like, well, this is my life now. I'm just going to be a full-time audio guy. And I did that for a couple of years. And then, that musician inside of me was starving. It was dying. So I was like, you know what? I think I need to at least start writing some more music, to kind of feed that hunger, scratch that itch. And so I wrote this record, and I was really proud of it. I was really happy. And I just, I was like, man, it would be a bummer if this never saw the light of day. So I was like, well, what if maybe I'll try and just, see if I can find a couple members, and if things fall into place, then maybe I'll pursue it. And everything really just worked out really well. And everything honestly fell into place. And then Earthgroans was born, and we just started touring, right off the bat. Our very first show was our first tour date, and so we toured very heavily for, I think, a year and a half, 2 years, and then Solid State reached out. So.
And where have you toured? Have you toured out of country or?
We've done the full U.S. several times at this point. And then we've done a little bit in Canada, and then we've also we played a little bit in Germany. So we've done a little bit internationally, but I'm hoping to do more. I mean, that's the dream, right? Is to be able to tour other countries.
Yeah, so. Because the United States has a metalcore fan base, but it seems like other countries are more in tune with metalcore. Mexico is huge in the metal scene.
Yeah,
people don't understand that. People are like, well, they think about Tejano music, which is not true, authentic Mexican music. They think about that. They think about classic kind of Spanish guitars and all that. But if you go actually south in Mexico City or something, they're huge in the metal. Mm-hmm. And then you go even further, South America, there's a huge death metal scene. So metal is still there. Metal is still rising, but it's unfortunately United States had it calmed down a little.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, North America probably has one of the smaller metal scenes when you look at the grand scheme of, I guess, the world. I mean, there are several other countries that metalcore and death metal are far bigger than in America. America is, I would say, a lot bigger into hip hop and rock. There obviously, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of metalheads in America, but I think other countries, metal is a lot higher on the charts.
Yeah,
but we're also pretty spoiled here, and there are a million metal bands in America, and there are tours happening, every week, where if you're in an A market, you're getting several, probably 2 or 3 different metal tours that come through. So it is an oversaturated market, and maybe that's one of the reasons why it's not quite as big here, is because it is kind of an oversaturated market. I don't know.
Well, the United States is oversaturated in everything. If you see it, that's why so many people want to come to America, even though people claim they hate America, but they still want to come here, because you do tend to get a overabundance of anything here.
Yeah,
that's why they got Sam's and Costco.
Yeah.
Anywhere else, you couldn't get a 5-gallon barrel of mayonnaise.
Gosh, gross.
So, being in Solid State, have you met any of the guys? The people that you looked up to and told them.
We did a tour with the Agony scene, and we did a tour with O Sleeper a couple years ago, pre-COVID, and O Sleeper was probably one of my biggest influences growing up. Just really, really, really loved their music, really loved their lyrics, still do, honestly. But yeah, and just getting to tour with Micah and Shane, two of the vocalists that I looked up to probably the most, was, that was awesome. Yeah, and I got to have a lot of cool talks with Shane about, his writing processes and his vocals too. So.
And with that, that getting to know them, they were actually telling them, hey, you helped me be the person who I am. I appreciate it. It gives, because the metal community is a family. You got big brothers, big sisters, little brothers, and we're all supposed to be there for each other. There are some that, if you go into the more secular scene, there are a bunch of cutthroats in there, and I'm not going to say any names because, I know a couple of them. But you live to have that closeness, like a band of brothers, going through not only your band, but your label mates. It must be a huge, like a huge weight lifted off you, because you know that you're there with your family, and when you're in an issue or something that you need help with, they're there to help you.
Definitely. I mean, I think that's one of my favorite parts about being a metalcore band and being in this, the metalcore industry, is just the camaraderie and the community that is there, and that is present. I mean, honestly, any problem I'm going through in life, I'm calling one of my homies that I've toured with. That's who I go to. I don't think about my friend that I grew up with or somebody down the block or whatever. I'm thinking about a brother that I've been on the road with. So definitely there's a huge community, a lot of love in the hardcore scene.
Yeah, and being in Solid State, it's a faith-based kind of scene that it even strengthens the faith as well, because you do have common denominator. It's kingdom driven, and with that, you're able to go to all these other venues that people wouldn't think a Christian band would go to, because you do have your faith, and metalheads that are not quote unquote Christian really don't really judge metalcore bands, because they're right there, they're in your face. It's awesome. It's a what emotion field kind of a concert. So you're not there just saying, oh, well, this guy's a Christian man, it's gonna suck, because you get that a lot with the hip hop or the pop kind of secular area. But with metalheads, if it's got a kick butt guitar and the drums are out there devastating the stage, and the vocalist is just crazy on the mic, then there's no difference, really.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely, I agree with that.
So you have this new EP out, right? And what's the name of the EP?
Tongue Tied.
Tongue Tied. That sounds like me when I first met my wife. I was tongue tied. I couldn't talk to her correctly. And how did that come along? How did you say Tongue Tied be the awesome name of the EP?
So I don't know if you're familiar with the actual medical term tongue tied, but I was born tongue tied. So what that means is that skin that's underneath your tongue, it comes all the way up to the tip of your tongue. So you wouldn't be able to move your tongue freely. So if you don't have that corrected, you would have a speech impediment. So yeah, I was actually born tongue tied. And so they had to perform the procedure right after birth, to cut that, all that extra skin out and stuff like that. But it was kind of music has always been my voice. And, I grew up, like I said earlier, I'm the black sheep of my family, and even in the area that I live, I'm the odd one, and I've commonly felt kind of misunderstood. Growing up, people always called me the emo kid or the goth kid, stuff like that. And music was, words have always been kind of hard for me, and music was the way that I was able to express, the things that I was never able to say. And so in a way, I guess music was my voice. It's where I found my voice. It's where I found my true calling and such. So yeah, that was where I came up with the name Tongue Tied.
Awesome. And this is already out, right? Is it out for people to purchase?
Yeah. Yep.
And where can they purchase it at? On the Solid State, of course, on the merch.
Yep. Yeah, any streaming site that they have, it'll be on. But yeah, also you can purchase that anywhere.
Awesome. And do you have any tours coming up? Any shows that are coming up towards the end of the year, or maybe the first of the year?
Right now we're recording a new record or some new music. So that's kind of our main focus right now. We do have some shows in some Midwest shows, some home shows in January, that we're playing. We just signed a new booking agent. So we're working on getting, I guess, tours lined up for the next year up here in South Dakota. Once December hits, most touring comes to a halt because of, our winters go from December to like April. And it just is dangerous to tour with snow on the ground. So it's hard for us to get out, in the winter months, but we try to, we just haven't, we're working with this new agent. So he's working on getting us some tours for the next year.
Awesome, man. And you really are a farm bred workaholic, because you're ready to go touring right now, right?
Oh, I'm ready to tour all the time. I would tour 360 days a year.
And, hopefully you get some Dallas shows coming through, so we can meet in person, share a taco.
Yeah.
Not actually share a taco. Yeah. I'll get you your own taco. You're not eating mine. But yeah, we're going because we're coming to the end of the show. You know what? Let's go and do Tongue Tied as the final song, since we all get a little tongue tied every now and then. So, but just want to thank you so much for being on the show, Jeremy. Jeremy has spoken in class today. That's a little Pearl Jam thing, if people don't know what Pearl Jam is.
Yes.
But I want to thank you for being on the show, man. It was awesome to meet you. You're now a brother of the Johnny Taco Show, part of the family. You're immortalized in my my episodes here. So, I just want to say thank you for all that you do. Give the band my best. And we are now going to rock and roll with some Tongue Tied by Earthgroans here on the Johnny Taco Show Origin Stories. Right? Mm-hmm. And what's the name of the EP?
Tongue Tied.
Tongue Tied. That sounds like me when I first met my wife. I was tongue tied. I couldn't talk to her correctly. And how did that come along? How did you say Tongue Tied be the awesome name of the EP?
So I don't know if you're familiar with the actual medical term tongue tied. I was born. That means it's like that skin that's underneath your tongue. It comes like all the way up to the tip of your tongue. So you wouldn't be able to move your tongue freely. So if you don't have that corrected, you would have a speech impediment. So yeah, I was actually born tongue tied. So they had to like perform the procedure right after birth to cut that all that extra skin out and stuff like that. But it was kind of like music has always been my voice. I grew up, like I said earlier, I'm the black sheep of my family, even in the area that I live. You know, I'm the odd one, and I've commonly felt kind of understood. Growing up, people always called me the emo kid or the goth kid, stuff like that. And music was words have always been kind of hard for me in a way that, you know, I was able to express, you know, the things that I was never able to say. And so in a way, I guess music was my voice. It's where I found my voice, you know, it's where I found my true calling and such. So yeah, that was where I came up with Tongue Tied.
Awesome. And this is already out, right? Is it out for people to purchase?
Yeah. Yep.
And where can they purchase it at? On the Solid State, of course, on the merch.
Yep. Yeah, it's, I mean, any streaming site that they have, it'll be. But yeah, also purchase that anywhere.
Awesome. And do you have any tours coming up? Any shows that are coming up towards the end of the year, or maybe the first of the year?
Right now we're recording a new record or music, so that's kind of our main focus right now. We do have some shows in Midwest shows, some home shows in January that we're playing. We just signed a new booking agent, so we're working on getting, I guess, tours lined up for the next year. Up here in South Dakota, once December hits, most touring comes to a halt because of our winters go from December to like April. So, and it just is dangerous to tour with snow on the ground. So it's hard for us to get out. We try to, we just haven't. Working on getting us some tours for the next year.
Awesome, man. And you really are a farm bred workaholic, because you're ready to go touring right now, right?
Oh, I'm ready to tour all the time. I would tour 360 days.
And, you know, hopefully you get some Dallas shows coming through, you know, so we can meet in person, share a taco.
Yeah.
Not actually share a taco. Yeah. I'll get you your own taco. You're not eating mine. But yeah, we're going because we're coming to the end of the show. You know what? Let's go and do Tongue Tied as the final song, since you know, we all get a little tongue tied every now and then. So, but just want to thank you so much for being on the show, Jeremy. Jeremy has spoken in class today. That's a little Pearl Jam thing if people don't know what Pearl Jam is. Yes. But I want to thank you for being on the show, man. It was awesome to meet you. You know, you're now a brother of the Johnny Taco Show, part of the family. You're immortalized in my my episodes here. So, you know, I just want to say thank you for all that you do. Give the band my best. And we are now going to rock and roll with some Tongue Tied by Earthgroans here on the Johnny Taco Show Origin Stories. All right, that was check them artists. I want to give everyone had took concert people here. Big shout. At its full. That just have a heart. Great music. Awesome year. Shows and metal third person. I am metal great. I want to thank all the that listen to. Thank you so much. Talking to my M4. Thank all the stumble upon here. Thanking this special how to make tacos. I hate to be the bearer of this show, but there is edification going on. Ma'am. A edification through Jesus Christ. Testimonies, friends, and my. I just want to get. Thank you. The power of God. If I was able, oh no, Johnny Tacos. God on it. I'm as human behind a. I have my fault. I have my alcohol, but there are Christ. He died on the cross, so if I helped you, God had something. But I want to thank God, thank Jesus, opening up. How could I? I'm not Bible verse. talk to pastors, talk to heard of. God told me, get on the sound, talk to someone. That's all you have to say. God will have been a lot of bad. I can buy. I'm happy to have. Tell them about your problems, but anyways, please, heart, because I don't want to. Sure in the hell don't. Podcast, and I'll see you next. Awesome topics. Taco Show. God keep you. I want you to have a. God loves you. I love you. Christmas, Happy New Year, healthy.